Testing 1, 2. Testing 1, 2. Testing 1, 2, 3.
We'll be starting in a few minutes. Trustee Stout is on his way. If you're looking to give public comment this evening, there are yellow forms up there you could fill out. Just hand those in to the clerk when you come up. Thank you. I'd like to call the regular meeting of the Park and Recreation Commission to order. This meeting has been given public notice. It's at 5:34 p.m. Thank you for your patience. This meeting has been given public notice in accordance with section 19.83 and 19.84 Wisconsin statutes in such a form that will apprise the general public and news media of subject matter that is intended for consideration and action. With me this evening, we have Trustee Stout, School Board Member Paulik, and committee members Stapleman, Eby, Smith, and Stibes. Also, staff is present, I apologize. Item number 3, citizens input. Please be advised that per 19.842, that information and comment will be received from the public. It is the policy of this municipality that public input be limited to 4-minute period per person, with the time extension granted at the discretion of the chairperson. Be advised that there may be limited discussion of the information received, but no action will be taken under public comments. Comments that may be injurious to village personnel or other individuals will not be allowed. So if you're not here for something on the agenda specific that you will be speaking to and would like to give citizens input, this is the time period you can do it. I have asked Linda to raise her hand at the 3.5-minute mark to let you know you have 30 seconds to finish your statements. Once 4 minutes hits, she will say thank you and we'll ask that the comment be finished. So do we have anyone here regarding citizens input?
Thank you and good evening. My name is Jan Miller. I'm a trustee in the Village, District 4. And I have a couple of comments. We haven't had a Park and Rec meeting for a while, so this is exciting. First of all, under unfinished business, I just wanted to make a comment about e-bikes. I don't know whether what I saw was an e-bike or not, but it scared me. There was a bike thing that looked like it had a motor, and I was driving from Mequon Road south on Pilgrim, and I was going the speed limit, 35 miles an hour, and the bike was keeping up with me. That was scary. So I hope you can come up with some sort of an ordinance or something, and make a demarcation about it. And should they be in parks and trails? So, I mean, I guess the trails were, my understanding, originally for bikes. So e-bikes, I guess, would be okay. But those motorized, they're almost like little motorcycles or motor scooters. Um, I, I, I I wouldn't recommend that. I think they go too fast. Anyway, on unfinished B, I just wanted to make mention that I am the chairperson for the uh, tree program or the tree committee. And we brought this up at the last meeting. And I think it's a great idea that we have a tree celebration program, and originally it was tree and park bench. And I think my opinion is it should be both. Um, Trees, because people like to dedicate trees to their loved ones on special occasions, anniversaries, passing, for a memorial. And in addition to that, it will help the budget. And the forester already has places on the GIS map where trees should go. So I think it's a great opportunity. And as well as benches, people like to memorialize their loved ones that were always at the park. And it's an added amenity to our parks. So I would also like that discussed. And under new business, I'd like to welcome the senior center coordinator, Jeannie. I know she's going to be introduced, but I'm excited because again, I'm chair of the senior advisory committee, and we're looking forward to working with her and getting her ideas. The fourth item, well, under 4, B is the Heyday presentation. It's HEYDAY. Just thought I'd let you know. It says the discussion is a greenway trail through their projected or proposed housing proposal for connectivity to Schoenlaufen Park. I, oh, I think that, couple of things that need to be considered. There were, sure, couple of things. Just make sure that it's not going through an environmental designated area, and you would be setting precedents for, I think, connecting a park to maybe, I'm not sure. And the last thing that I just wanted to mention, the Friends of Old Falls Village, I would prefer that they utilize the Dinesville Park. And I talked to Jim Dix today, and he was for that. So there's lots of space, and they would welcome that.
Good.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for your comments. Anyone else that would like to speak under citizens input?
Thank you.
I live on Left Lane across from the park. Report from where the new KD supposedly would be. And I'm here to hear a little bit more about it. But my concern about the development and the proximity to the park is the effect on the flooding. Mayo, Washington County is doing a study on the culverts in the area and activity on Lilac Lane. The water is constantly backing up both sides, other side where the building would be. Through the bridge, it's backing up and it's flooding over Lilac Lane. And it's not just on the 1,000-year floods. It's happening more and more often. And just because they don't close the road doesn't mean it's not happening. I'm very concerned about the 18-acre reduction pond that's going in next to the park, very close to the walkway paths. That area was designated to be part of the green space. The reduction pond, for the sole purpose of that very intense development, is not a functional green space. It is a green space for the development. It's not preserving the park. I'm concerned about the park, I'm concerned about the flooding. I'm also concerned about the sewer backups my neighbors are experiencing because of the excess water. And I would like these things to be taken more seriously, especially with where the bedrock is. Will this retention pond be piercing bedrock, bringing up the groundwater, which means it won't be there to absorb water from the development? Is it going to be letting more water into the aquifer? As you know, Washington County is doing a study on that. We just spent several hours last week going to our property and looking at the various areas where we're getting the flooding from things, streams. Also with the retention pond, what are going to be requirements for retaining it and making sure it doesn't damage.
Thank you for your input. Anyone else for citizens input? Anyone else under citizens input?
Thank you, Dale.
One day on the road, we across from Katie site. Like referred to impact of 260 families who have fire. We're told diligently constantly boast about the serenity, peacefulness, the undisturbed nature in the park. With 260 families, need that. Also, their entrance in the park in no way would benefit the current citizens of Germantown. It's just another reason that the city development doesn't fit the area that it's in. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else, citizens input? Anyone else? Last chance, citizens input. Hearing none, we'll close that portion of the agenda. Moving along, item number 4, meeting minutes. Park and Recreation meeting minutes from June 17th, 2026. The minutes can only be acted upon those that are here or those that have been here at the last minute. That's, I know there's a few members that missed last time, so.
Move to approve the meeting minutes from June 17th, 2026.
I'll second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
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 All opposed say nay. Ayes have it, and abstentions from Eby, Steves, and Smith. Thank you. Item number 5, unfinished business, update on e-bike motorized riding in village parks and trails, discussion.
At our last meeting, it was brought up about some of the issues
that we're experiencing in our parks with e-bikes and so forth. The report I'm about to give you comes from our Chief of Police, Chief Merton, and what he is doing and working and maybe clear up some things. So this is not coming from Parks and Recreation, but from the law enforcement. So just so you know, according to Chief Merton, there are maps available now within the village that show where ATVs and UTVs are allowed to ride on public streets. But according to Chief, every road within the village is legal to ride on. However, no speed limit or no speed over 35 miles an hour is legal. Again, this is for ATVs and UTVs. According to Chief Merton, our laws pertaining to ATVs and UTVs is actually more strict than the Department of Natural Resources. And DNR is actually the state law in which most places that allow ATVs and UTVs go by. Basically, no person under the age of 16 is legally allowed to operate an ATV or UTV. Everyone operating one must have a motor vehicle license, and they're required by all drivers 16 and up. And citizens who were born after 1988 are required to take a safety course and must have a safety certificate. And helmets must be worn by minors that ride ATVs and UTVs. Also, anyone operating an ATV or UTV must have a liability insurance that meets state standards. So the last two things I told you are different from DNR. I don't think DNR requires helmets, nor does DNR at this point require liability insurance, but the Village of Germantown does. Now, as far as e-bikes, bicycles, and scooters, to be considered an e-bike, they must have pedals. If they don't have pedals, they are not legal. E-bikes are allowed to go anywhere a bicycle can go. There is no separation of laws currently between bicycles, and e-bikes. And that's also including our parks as well as sidewalks. However, e-bikes must be registered like bicycles through the police department, and you're required to have a sticker. Registration is $5 to get this sticker. If for whatever reason an e-bike is pulled over and they do not have a sticker, they can be cited and ticketed. E-bikes must be operated the same as bicycles. If they are in the areas where there's pedestrians, they are required to drive slowly. Otherwise, out on the open areas, can go moderate speed. If there is more than one e-bike riding in a group, then they must ride single file. The one path that is closed to bicycles, e-bikes, and scooters, there's a short stretch, which is private property on Redwood Lane, Juniper Drive, that leads into the park along Division Road along the river. Okay, what you can do if you see an e-bike or scooter violating the laws, you should report it to the police. It would be helpful to the police if you actually knew the person violating the law, or if you could describe them or given what direction they were going in. Any of this description would help the police. Right now, there is no ordinance pertaining to electric scooters where they can be ridden. Chief Merton is going to propose an ordinance to the board with stricter restrictions on e-bikes and scooters. Basically, West Bend recently passed an ordinance, and I think the chief is trying to use a lot of that as his model for going before the board. E-moto bikes are not legal and are not allowed on streets and or sidewalks. They are only allowed to be used on private property, and they must have permission from the property owner to ride an e-moto bike. So that's currently the rules and what's going on with e-bikes, ATVs, UTVs, and scooters.
No, thank you for that information. Any comments, discussion, any questions for Gil?
Can you tell me what the last vehicle was?
Oh, they call it e-moto bikes.
Okay, I haven't heard of that one yet.
That may be the one that reaches 70 miles an hour.
Oh.
Those are the ones without pedals. Those are the ones without pedals.
Yeah.
It's like a motorcycle, electric motorcycle. And that's kind of the ones that are the issues.
Any
Yeah.
questions, any additional? Oh,
No, I was just going to repeat, they are not legal or allowed on streets or sidewalks.
No, I appreciate the update. This is not the only community that's dealing with that right now. Several communities I've met with in meetings just like this, they have the same agenda items. So appreciate staff following up on that and following through. We look forward to seeing what's being proposed. Moving along, under unfinished business, item 5B, update on celebration tree program.
Okay, to each of the commissioners, I passed out the little pamphlet that we will be distributing out. Basically, the Celebration Tree Program used to be Celebration Tree and Bench Program that my predecessor before me started years ago and was ran up till 2025. I stopped the program in 2025 for two reasons. Pertaining to the tree project, the village was going through a new, they were weeding out the older trees, the diseased trees, and so forth, and they were bringing in new trees to be planted throughout the village. So I was waiting on this study to be done so that any tree that we plant through this celebration would be in line with the forestry program, with whatever they're doing. As alluded to earlier, each park that we can plant the tree in has a GSS system where the forestry or Wachtel Tree Science is an organization that is works with trees or professional tree service, and they're contracted through the village and work with DPW on the trees that we plant and purchase for working in the village. So once they finalize that plan, then I picked out eight different trees that I feel would beautify our parks and working with them. And I'm working with Winland Nursery where the trees will be purchased and Winland will take on the responsibility of planting the tree, preparing it and getting it ready. And then the person wishing to donate the tree will try to have a little plaque in memorandum of the individual that they are planting it for. One of our former village or presidents has a memorial tree in Altbauer Park. So it's not a major popular program. I maybe had a half a dozen trees planted over the last few years. Now, getting back to the bench program, the last year that we ran the bench program, basically the benches, the company we're buying the benches from went up in price. So the benches were more expensive than what we were advertising. But not only that, but when we do a bench project, Public Works gets involved in that. Typically, it takes two workers 2 days to do this program. Basically, they have to pour the concrete foundation, pour the bench, allow it to dry, and then come back and put the bench on there. So with some of the changes in DPW, losing personnel and so forth, this got to be a little bit of a burden and it was cost prohibitive. So we decided for the time being, at least for 2026, we'll keep out the memorial bench program and just keep it memorial tree program. I will have discussions with Public Works, maybe moving forward to add back the bench program at some point, because we can always use more benches in our parks. But right now, to give you an example, for an citizen to come in and say, I want to dedicate a memorial bench, the cost would be over $2,000 for a bench. So like I said, we're kind of holding off on that, coming back to see what we can do in the future to add that program. But right now, we do have 8 different tree species that you could select from, and we will plant in the parks. According to the GSS system, they have designated areas in the parks where we can plant the trees.
Any questions for Gil?
Gil, can you tell us like what the previous bench cost was that we were charging before? I'm just curious for a
Well,
benchmark of where we were, or like, you know, is there some kind of targets you're looking for?
well, this program is basically a break even. We're not looking to
Sure.
make money off of it. The last year I did the bench program, we advertised the bench was $1,250 for years, $1,250 for years. That was the cost of the bench. After we went out with publication, the company we got the bench from, and we were trying to keep uniform in our benches, went up to $1,500. So right off the bat, we were losing $250. Then you take the concrete, the time and the effort of DPW to do all this, and it was an expensive proposition.
Yeah, sure.
And with budgets already being cut and tight, we decided we couldn't go forward with the bench. The trees pretty much pay for themselves, so we're not losing any money on that.
Thanks, appreciate it.
Yes.
You know, when you do look at this for 2027, there's different bench types, you know, and stuff. But there was a bench at Spaslin Park in the middle on the south end of the hiking path that is outstanding. That's a 100-year bench. And I just say you should go forward with some kind of bench like that can weather anything.
Okay,
It's, you know, whatever family put that one in years ago. It's a good bench,
okay,
just an FYI.
definitely. Thank you.
Brian, can I ask for a short pause? I need to get a pen.
You could borrow mine. Resourceful.
Sorry, thank you.
Any other questions, statements? I think if we're looking at bringing back the bench program in 2027, I think it would be a package deal, understanding the bench costs this much and have a contractor for the full season of 2027. What are their rates? Work in the oversight of the project and understand it's going to be a large number, but I think there's certainly people in the community that would love to have that bench in certain locations. So I think it's something that we can revive in the future. So obviously something else for staff to consider. Under the celebration tree project, I want to make sure I understand this. Do they receive a recognition plaque and it has a 5-year warranty with that tree? Like it indicates at the bottom here.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
So the cost of the tree and the plaque is all, who makes the plaque? I guess that's,
We'll have a company that'll order the plaques.
okay,
They're relatively inexpensive.
okay. But that's been worked into the preferred tree program and costs.
Correct.
Thank you. Any additional questions? All right, hearing none, moving right along to item number 6, new business, introduction of new senior center coordinator, Jenny Shimp.
Yeah, little background. If any of y'all were involved with the senior center, you know that Mary Fiegel for years and years was the senior center coordinator. Well, late last summer and fall, she suffered serious illnesses and setbacks and was trying to get healthy again. Unfortunately, what she went through overtook her and she passed away. So for the last 8 months, we've had an interim coordinator that has coordinated the senior center, and she did an excellent job. But we started interviews a couple months ago, and we went through a couple rounds of interviews, and we ended up selecting Jenny as our new senior center coordinator, and she started. You've been on board 2 weeks now, since July 6th. So yeah, so we've been trying to indoctrinate her and get her used to the center, and so far the reaction from the citizens that go up and use the center has been very positive. They all like Jenny and very personal. So Jenny, if you don't mind standing up and maybe telling us a little bit about yourself.
Jenny, can I please have you come up here to the microphone, please? Just push the button and it'll turn green. Right in the front. There, you're good. Thank you.
Well, good evening. I'm Jenny Shimp. I'm the new coordinator at the Senior Center. I have experience with activities, senior activities for over 13 years, and I'm honored to be here and get to know our seniors in Germantown and the surrounding areas. Thank you for this opportunity.
Yeah. Thank you, Jenny.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for coming on. We look forward to seeing what you have planned for seniors. And I did clarify for this group, it is 55 and older. So some of us are hitting that range. So moving right along, next item for discussion, item 6B, heyday presentation from the Accessible Greenway Trail through their projected housing proposal connectivity into Shane Laughlin Park, discussion and action. And prior to the discussion and the presentation, I want to make sure that Park and Rec Commission is very clear on what this is. The item is for discussing the Greenway Trail and connectivity to Shane Laughlin Park. A number of questions regarding the trail could be asked and answered, positives, negatives, things like that. If it does get off the topic of Greenway, parks, open space, our trail plan, I will call point of order and stop the discussion because it's not on the agenda. So just want to be very clear on that we're looking at the trail system and really focusing on that and connectivity to Shane Laughlin. That's why they're here prior to going to a plan commission meeting, because the community development department certainly thought that they would want to understand our input on any kind of public trail system. So thank you.
Thank you so much. So my name is Josh Walreich. I'm with Heyday. I'm excited to be here in front of this this board. We've been working now collaboratively with the village and a lot of different parts. We've met with trustees and staff and school boards, economic directors. We've tried to gain as much information as we can as we try to move this project forward through the approval channels. So tonight is another one of those steps. Previously, I think maybe about a month ago, we had a large public meeting over at the library across the way and had a really good attendance there of about, I'd say maybe 60 to 70 people. We got a lot of great feedback, and we stood up a website with all the materials we presented there and some of the information that came back from members of the community and how we answered those questions, and continue to dig into some of the questions that people have and try to get them comfortable with the project. So Without further ado, I'm just going to give a quick overview of the project itself so that anyone here who doesn't understand what it is we're proposing has a context to understand the parks that or the trail that we are proposing, as well as some other facilities as part of this. So this is the site overall. North is up, and Schoenlaughlin is to the west. The Assisted Living Center and the Early Learning Center are to the east. This is Virginia, Lilac, and River Road. We will be connecting at River Road to the north and finishing off that extension. And the overall project will have, it'll be done in 2 phases. It'll have 256 homes, 36 of which will be townhomes, and the rest will be townhomes are 2-story, 2 and 3 bedroom homes, and the rest will be a single-story product of 2 and 3 bedroom homes as well. So these are some renderings of what the single-story product will look like. We will have front porches on the streets, sidewalks. Every single home comes with a 2-car direct access attached garage. Some of the garages will be 23 feet in depth, which will allow to put a standard size like Ford F-150 truck in a garage, which is very unique for a development. We will also have 22-foot parking aprons in front of the garages, so every home will park 4 to 1. These are just a couple different renderings that show what these homes and what the community will look like. So in terms of the parkway and current land use, again, showing Laughlin Park over here to the west. This is we're purchasing 2 parcels. The parcel to the west is currently in Schoenlaughlin Menominee River District, and the parcel to the east is in the Lannon-Mequon Road corridor. This is designated right now as open space in the future land use, and the west parcel is designated for residential at 10 units to an acre. So just on that parcel alone at that density, you would have 323 homes. This is a image of what we would be proposing. So we would end up with 256 homes on the total 71 acres. So that would be 67 less homes than is proposed or currently allowed on the western parcel. I'm sorry, on the eastern parcel. The open space that we would have throughout the 71 acres is approximately 53% of the total site, so 38 acres of open space overall. We're very much focused on developments that preserve open space. We are low density. I know that 256 homes feels like a lot of homes, but the overall density is low, especially when you compare it to the 10 acres that is currently allowed on the parcel to the east. So the connection that we were talking about here with the corridor going through our development, we are proposing to continue the trails from Schoenlaughlin Park into what will be a pavilion that would either be on our property or partially on our property and partially on park property. That can be determined as this moves forward. That would be a public pavilion that would connect to a trail that goes around the park and a greenway that runs through the center of the site that then connects to public right-of-way and sidewalks that access the New Day Assisted Living and the Early Learning Center to the north. In discussions that we've had, we understand that the Early Learning Center often is using a highly trafficked area to take kids out, and that this would be a much better path for them to access open space and eventually find their way over to Schoenlaughlin Park. So the pathway that would go around the stormwater basin is about a 0.56 mile path, again, open to the public. And the trailway that would continue through the center of the site is approximately a half a mile from one site to the other. So if you did a full lap around the storm basin and went through the site and back, you'd be at approximately 1.4 miles of distance. So this is an important slide that we created that I think will be helpful. There's been a lot of discussion around stormwater, and since we are proposing the path as part of the extension of this pathway around the stormwater detention, I wanted to highlight basically how our current stormwater detention is designed with elevation, so people can understand this, because stormwater is it's an issue, and we keep hearing about it, and so we're very cognizant of it. It's one of the first things we heard, and so we're making sure that we are accounting for the stormwater on our site, and I believe that it'll actually help overall. So right now, as we know, there's a lot of bedrock, and that prevents in a large storm, or even sometimes a not very large storm, it prevents the water from being absorbed into the ground. You have runoff that ends up going straight into the park right now. The low part of our site is on the western side, and that's where our stormwater basin is. That is where there's actually the bedrock is the deepest at that location as well. So the bottom of our pond would be at, I'm sorry, the normal water level of our pond would be at 849 feet. And in normal cases, without storms, that would be 5 feet deep. When we have a 500-year level storm, the pond will increase from 849 to 852.57. So that's roughly an increase of 3.5 feet. That is still 2.7 feet below the top of our stormwater facility. So that is significant excess capacity. In addition to that, the top of the 500-year storm is 7 feet below the finished floor level of our of a home on our site, of the lowest home on our site. So there is significant storage that allows for the stormwater in our pond, and there's significant protection for the homes that we're building above that. And so in this image, it's a slice right through the pond. You can see this is the top of the berm. This is where the trail would go. And so this is elevation 855.25, which is again another 2.7 feet above the 500-year storm. And that's a 15-foot wide berm with a 10-foot trail that goes around that berm. So as a storm happens and it hits the site and it doesn't get absorbed and it goes into our stormwater system and it fills up this pond, that's going to prevent the water that currently now in a large storm runs off our site straight into Schoenlaughlin Park. It will retain most of it on our site in the retention pond. And a couple of images now of the trailway that goes through the site. So here you're looking west onto the site. This is basically the furthest east point. So you're looking through the site in what we've called, an active play area. That'll be, landscaped. We're showing mounds here, but that can change as we work through this with parks. This is again looking west towards the detention pond. One of the families that we are under contract to buy one of the sites from are the Roscoff brothers. They've been great to work with thus far, and this land's been in their family. I think they told us stories of when they were kids and they would play on this lot, and so it's been in their family for well over 50 years. We would be naming this trail that goes around the detention the Roscoff Trail, so that's why you see that on this sign here. Another shot is this is the berm. And then this is the pavilion that we are suggesting that would be on the western edge of the site, with the back towards Schoenlaughlin right now as you're entering the pavilion and the detention straight ahead of you. So we also have an animation that I'd like to share. I think this just gives a sense of what the community would feel like. There should be sound, but not going to worry about that right now. So again, the single story homes. This is the overall site. And then this is the green trail running through the middle of the site connecting to Show and Laughlin. We have 4 different areas that we've designated: pavilion, lookout, central lawn, and passive play. So it's just a quick overview of what it should feel like on the site once we're built out. And with that, I am available to answer any questions.
Thank you. Appreciate giving an overview. Once again, this is in regards to Greenway Trail through the project, trying to focus on the trail and amenities. It's up to the group if you wanted to start with questions or if you want me to start, because I think a lot of my questions will probably be some of the questions that you may have. All right, I'll kick off the questions. Well, Josh, I appreciate you coming tonight and getting us engaged early on. That's always been a goal of the Park and Recreation Commission. We've gone through a lot of planning processes to adopt the core plan, the comprehensive outdoor recreational plan, the trail plan. It's something you have to plan for generations. So we appreciate you coming forward and sharing this with us. So first question, starting with public trails. So you're showing the red and the blue on the screen that you have in front of you. That would be, how would that be owned and maintained as a public trail?
So I think that is open for consideration. Our desire would be that we would retain ownership on this and we would be responsible for 100% of the maintenance.
Okay.
But we would provide a public easement that allows access for it to the public.
Okay. And ultimately, I think we want to make sure that if you or some future generation 30 years from now owns this property and there's an agreement that it's open to the public, that if it's not being maintained to a certain standard, the village certainly could come in and assess that property owner for not maintaining it in a condition that the public can utilize. Does that sound like a reasonable?
Absolutely. And we've done, we've had private stormwater facilities previously on developments that we've had to do agreements similar to the one that you're talking about. I think on this site as well, we're going to have a lift station that is going to be privately owned, and that would have the same sort of agreement with the village that would, for some reason, if we or some subsequent owner did not maintain that, the city or the village would have the right to come in and do that at our expense.
Okay. Similarly, I think I would have a similar comment on the pavilions. I assume your answer would be the same if it's a public pavilion.
Yeah, just based on where we're proposing that pavilion go, I think that one probably needs a little bit more work because it may end up being in Show and Laughlin Park.
Okay.
And in that case, if that's where collaboratively everyone decides it's best located, then I think that would probably fall on the village to maintain.
Okay. The connection to Virginia Ave and going up to Momentum Early Learning, do you own the property to the east? Is it cutting across the Aurora property? How would you
We
make
do
that
we do
connection?
not own that, and so we would have to work to get approvals to put this trail in to
Okay.
that location.
Okay.
There's
I-
obviously public right of way on Virginia, but that connection that we're showing to the north up here is that does not exist currently.
Yeah, and obviously the majority of that could happen on your property and then work
Yes.
through the corner of the Aurora property, but I think it's certainly a benefit when you're looking at connectivity throughout. The streets within here, Will they be public, private?
So the way this is currently intended is River Lane would come into the site and essentially there'd be, you know, this cul-de-sac here.
Yep.
So River would be a public right of way up into that cul-de-sac. And then everything else throughout the site would be a private roadway.
Okay. And once again, going to the point of a trail system, pros and cons, as I indicated up in the northeast corner, you're certainly taking a look at that. I'm all for connectivity and public connectivity, so I appreciate the east to west venue. I guess that would be one of my questions, you know, is there a possibility of getting up to that North River Lane? The other area that I thought was being a little bit ignored in terms of public connections, once again, trying to get to this larger greenway trail and really get people off of Lilac Lane, if they're not biking or something like that, is that far east portion. It's showing us trees right now. It's agricultural field in that area. Just some of the initial thoughts that I had in trying to make a couple of more public connections.
Sure.
If you wanted my opinion, obviously others may have their opinions that way too. Going to the, once again, trails and amenities, stormwater basin. There has been evidence of flooding and different things in this area. That is not for this commission really to dive into. So while it's a concern of mine, I think my bigger concern is it is a stormwater basin. I've seen many stormwater basins over the past 30 years, and either they're infiltration or they're a stormwater basin with an outfall and generally not kept up. I guess you know, by the pretty pictures, I'm not convinced that it will be kept up as a recreational amenity. Have you done this type of stormwater basin before to make it look more like a pond in the state of Wisconsin? Have you had waivers from the DNR in terms of what their requirements are for stormwater basins?
Okay, so to answer your first question, we have not built a stormwater basin where we have done a trail around it yet. We have built stormwater basins in Sun Prairie that are adjacent to a public trail that we built that went over Token Creek, and we had to build a bridge. And so that was part of a 4.5 acre park that we dedicated to the city of Sun Prairie. And so that's the closest we've gotten to that. I can tell you this is the second one of these that we are currently proposing. So, you know, we intend to dig into what's required to well, it's not maintain this, but I mean, constructing it's the easy part. With the vegetation, there's always challenges in getting the right plants established. That takes time. And so I would want to make sure that everybody knew that, you know, the day one, these basins just don't, not everything gets established as quickly as you would like.
Yeah.
So it usually takes a little bit of time, but, and I'm sorry, what was your second question?
I think it was really, how is that going to be maintained as a feature rather than
Right.
simply another infiltration basin or stormwater? And have you gotten DNR waivers in those terms?
Yeah, and yeah, that was it, the DNR waiver. I don't know if we need a DNR waiver. I'm not sure. We've worked with the DNR extensively on all of our projects where we're required to. I mean, it seems that the vast majority of projects that we end up doing have wetlands on them and sometimes require some wetland mitigation for city or village desired roadway expansion. And so we have to work with DNR. I have not yet had a DNR waiver requirement come up that I am familiar with.
Okay.
But if something like that is required, then obviously we would work with DNR to get that.
Okay. And then in terms of stormwater basins in the state of Wisconsin, they typically have maintenance. And once again, I'm going along the lines of a feature. I assume this would be one that would have a little bit over the top in terms of amenities, things like that. It's not only, we're looking at it from a benefit from a public and a community, you're looking at it from a benefit of the people that are going to reside in this area.
Yeah.
I assume there would be certain standards that, once again, the village would have the right to come in and say, hey, you're not meeting to this standard.
Sure. And to give an example of that, what we've done in the past in Sun Prairie, the stormwater basins were public stormwater basins, but they won't take them over until 3 years after the initial delivery of the stormwater basin.
Mhm.
As part of that, we are required to hire a third party maintenance
Okay.
that specialize in this sort of aquatic element. It's not just a landscaper. And we have a existing relationship with someone out of Sun Prairie, so we try to find a similar type vendor for this pond, knowing that this is a public amenity and knowing that this is something that the village cares about. So.
Thank you. How long have you been working on this project?
I want to
With
say we
the
started
staff.
in November.
Back in November this year or
Yeah,
last year?
so 9 months or so. And I think we just made application to staff maybe 10 days ago. And we wanted to make sure, based on all the collaboration we've done to date, that we had that very large public meeting and gained feedback. I would encourage, and I can share it after this, I don't know it right now, but the website that we stood up that has all of the questions that individuals from the public asked at that meeting, our responses to those. And we are regularly updating that website with new information as it comes in.
Okay. And you've reviewed, obviously you showed the comprehensive plan, what the long range plan has for the village. You've reviewed the core plan and the pedestrian and trail plan for the village as a part of this process?
Yes, we've reviewed that, and I believe if there's anything that is falling short in what we've submitted, that staff would point that out and make sure that it is brought up in their staff report when we are in front of Plan Commission
Yeah,
and
and-
Village Board.
Okay. And the core isn't really on or part of the trail. Obviously, it has a much bigger impact, but I think when we look at the pedestrian trail plan, that we worked on, adopted back in January of 2024, there's two things that jump out at me and I want to point out. The first is, a roadway corridor implementation plan. Lilac Lane isn't seen as something with sidewalks. I think it's talked about in the future of maybe upgrading, putting bike lanes on the side. So I guess from the standpoint of trying to get the public to Shane Luffin, as I indicated before, I think down in the southeast corner would be nice to engage in an area that's not being utilized, but also understand, we're just giving initial feedback here. But the other part is probably the trail recommendations for the Menominee River Trail up in the northeast corner of the property. We have a projected, corridor trail along the river, and you seem to be ignoring a pretty fabulous amenity up in that area, that you have a river just off the map that I believe is under village ownership. So I guess my question, up in the northwest corner, you have a river corridor there. We have a trail plan that clearly shows trails through that area, and it's been ignored. Is there a reason that when you looked at the plan or when you had conversations with staff that you're not looking at, I'm not saying you're going to be implementing a trail plan. You certainly, if the village owns it, you could look at it and say, hey, can we have people make it down to the river corridor? But clearly, page 25 of the map shows not only that, but also a trailhead. Now, I understand that may not be feasibly possible with the roadway system and other things like that, but I would recommend you go back to the plan, take a look at that, and talk to staff a little bit more detail.
Okay, understood, and will do.
Okay.
The one thing I would note is the wetlands that are on this site are in this area.
So wetlands come up to that portion?
Yeah, that's the only portion that they're in, is
Okay.
in that top corner.
Okay.
So we've intentionally tried to stay out of the wetlands.
But you would have no problem donating those lands to the village for
None.
future connections, boardwalks?
None
different things
whatsoever.
like that?
None whatsoever.
I think that's all I have for now. I appreciate the group allowing me to kind of kick it off. I was hoping that maybe I touched on some of the things that you were thinking about. So with that, I'll open it up to others for questions. Comments, thoughts? Yes.
Yeah, thanks, Brian, and thanks, Josh. You know, I'm curious, are you working with, first of all, are these rentals or buy?
These
Point of order, we cannot talk
Ask that?
about the type of housing, anything like that.
No,
We have
that's
to
fine.
stick-
I just
We have
don't
to
know.
stick just to the agenda.
It looks really nice. But anyways, you know, have you guys discussed running a path, a side path, like Brian was saying, along Lilac from Showlofen to, you know, the end of your property there on the bottom right? And then the city would, you know, someday plan to connect that to Division Road. Because this year, or in the next, you know, year or two, the city's gonna bring the side path on the western side of Division, all the way from Mequon Road down to Lilac.
Mhm.
And then, you know, it just seems ideal that you would connect, you know, and you wouldn't be responsible for that portion along Lilac, but where your property starts and just goes straight through all the way to Schoenlaufen. Was that discussed at all, or?
I
mean,
don't, I don't believe it has been. I could be wrong on that.
Okay.
I don't believe it has been, but that is something we would be open to discuss.
That seems to be the planning commission always brings it to our attention of a new development along a roadway. And I'm curious why you don't have any exit out, like an emergency exit out to Lilac at all.
Yeah,
But,
so that's a big point of discussion, and we are ambivalent as to whether or not Lilac is accessed, and if it's desired to be accessed, we're happy to put access on Lilac. We intentionally did not do it based on feedback from the neighbors that live on
oh,
Lilac,
got it. Sure.
but
Yeah.
And that's
Totally
from
get
a
that.
trail connection standpoint, that you can
Yes.
do emergency connections.
yes.
Staying on the trail subject.
Yeah. No, I just like the idea that I think you should, you know, build out or just at least discuss with the planning commission, a bike path or side path on Lilac, you know, and then the city would finish eventually the pathway to Division Road.
Sure.
It just provides more access, for the subdivision, you know, south of Lilac there, right at the beginning off of Division. And then, homeowners along the way.
I think
you
the
know-
only question I would have on that is without Lilac being a urban section and it being stormwater being conveyed in a ditch, I just wonder if there's if there's enough right of way to permit for that. And how
Yeah, I
that
don't know
works
either.
without an urbanized road section.
Yep. Those are good questions. I don't have answers for that, but just at least discuss it.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
have a feeling that might be why it's not proposed. But
Okay.
but again, we can explore that.
Because it makes sense to me to put it there. But I don't know all the situations at all,
Sure.
you know, and it would be a nice addition. And we kind of consider that along, you know, any development, any
Yeah.
side paths. And the one going through the middle there is very nice. But, yeah, that's it for me. Thank you.
Any other questions? Thoughts, discussion? Commissioner Eby.
The green footprint you have on this map, it says 32.2 acres, 45% of the total site area. Do you have sort of an estimate of how much is really, you know, truly usable public space that's, you know, versus stormwater buffer setbacks, private landscape and things like that?
Yeah, sure. So this slide would give you the best sense of it. It's, you know, when you have a site this large, it's a little bit difficult to understand how large some of these spaces are between these buildings. So, you know, you can see that we have a, you know, 2 acre space here, a 2.1 acre space here, 2.7, 1.7, 3 acres. And then obviously the space that you had mentioned, the larger stormwater detention basin, that's 18 acres. And again, with that being mostly stormwater, we're activating that with the trail. That's how we thought best to activate that. And then in addition, you know, the 4 areas that we've that we've sort of designated with the pavilion and the lookout and the active play areas and we got a slide here with those. So yeah, the pavilion, the lookout, the central lawn, and the passive play area. So this slide best answers your question.
And that lower area that says 2.1 acres, it looks like there are some paths that go through there. They don't necessarily lead all the way. It's not sort of the main path, but that still would be a public pathway.
Correct. We have public pathways going throughout the site. Or I'm sorry, we have pathways going throughout the site. These are not technically, since it's not a a public street.
Right.
They're private pathways with a with potentially an easement. So but yes, you can see there's other paths that run through here as well as sidewalks that are along the private streetways.
And so just to follow up a little bit on the early question about the public easement and right of way, is that included? Because we were mostly talking about, I think, the main path going through, and then the stormwater basin path initially, that 1.42 miles, round trip or whatever.
Yeah.
But would that include all other pathways that are within this subdivision as well?
So I don't think we would have a public easement over all of the pathways throughout. I think it would be this main pathway that goes through the center. That's as a technicality, in practice. Our community in Sun Prairie has pathways. It's kind of a 4-quadrant with pathways running all over the place. And as I had mentioned, we have a 4-acre park, public park, that we dedicated right in the middle of the development. And as a practical matter, people are going wherever they're going. We're not policing whether or not they're residents, and our communities are not gated. So as a matter of practice, it's really open to the public.
But to be specific, so that 2.1 acre area that's sort of center in the bottom, the pathway that goes down into that is not what you guys are considering to be the public.
Correct.
Public pathway. Okay.
Correct.
And then as far as that, I think it was that space over on the far right in that it says 3 acres, 2 soccer fields area. Right now it is just, I think, farmland or whatever. And,
yeah.
And you don't currently have anything in there at all. Is there some things that you're considering, or that's where some different options are just open?
Yeah, I mean, right now, we don't have it. We don't have anything planned for that other than probably just landscaping. It doesn't mean it couldn't be activated in some way, but currently we don't have any plans to activate that space.
Thank you.
Additional questions? Commissioner Smith.
So forgive me if this was already sort of discussed. I know that you talked about that River Road that accesses a subdivision. And then the rest of the roadways are going to be are private, not like public access.
Correct.
Can people still access the walking trail? Like if they're coming down River Road, I mean, they could still like take a bike, right, to like pick up the trail?
Yeah,
Okay.
It doesn't, we don't have a great slide that shows that, but the public right of way, again, this is, I called it a cul-de-sac, but it's essentially the entrance to that pathway. So you would be able to, come through here and just directly access that greenway through here.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Good question. Yes, Commissioner Eby.
Yeah, and just the other showing the paths here just for size. Are these all 10-foot paths as well, like the one that was around the retention pond, or are these a different size?
I think the ones that are through the center of the site are intended to be 10, and the sidewalks that run on the private streets are intended to be 5.
Okay, thanks.
Additional questions? Comments, thoughts? Gil, you put this on for discussion and action. Specifically, I think in the comments in the packet, you're looking for feedback on a publicly accessible greenway trail and the design of the pavilions, whether they're opening to the thought of naming that Roscoff Trail and a connectivity to the trail system. Those are the kind of the three things that.
Yes, my main concern, not with the project at all, that's not really my concern. My concern is allowing the connectivity to Schoenlaufen. And if we want to allow that and the impact it might have on the park itself and as well as the neighborhood. I think it would be a positive thing for the neighborhood, but again, there's been discussion on, it is a nature park and the amount of crowds that it could possibly attract and what impact it might have on that nature park itself. But yeah, we're here to figure out if we want to allow them to connect to Schoenlaufen.
Right. Question.
Yes.
You know, I'm absolutely for, connecting it to, but I do think you still need to have somebody approve, where they're connecting, somebody from the parks like yourself. It looks like they're going to connect in the middle of Schoenlaufen where the walking path goes through there, up on the right side, which is the eastern side of it. And then it looks like they're going to connect at the bottom, like 2 spots to the park, on the, along Lilac Road there. where
Yeah,
it
I think
actually-
we're only proposing one. We could connect down at the southern tip, the southwestern as well, but right now I think this is the only trail connection that we're suggesting.
Okay, and that's kind of in the middle.
Yeah.
And then you're looking at the pavilion down at the bottom.
No, the pavilion would be right here as well. This is the pavilion.
Oh, right there is the pavilion. Okay.
Yes.
And that's kind of just an FYI, that's not really a biking path in that park.
Sure. No, we've walked it.
I mean, you can if you want. There's nobody saying no.
Right.
But just an idea, because I see people biking now, which is my big thing is providing more biking access to parks and connecting. Just a thought, if you connected down in the bottom, which it's probably only 15 feet into the park is where the trail is.
You're saying over like
Yeah,
like
right
around
there
here?
is where the trail is.
Sure.
It goes really close.
Yeah, it comes and then curves up like this. And
Yep.
Yeah.
Something like that is maybe connect the bike path into there. Just a thought.
Sure.
But I do think, as you move forward, if you do get that, that you need somebody to approve it. Exactly. Here's where we are going to connect. And then maybe that's the planning commission approval, or at least maybe have Gil review it or something too. Just a thought.
Yeah, no, that makes, we want this to be as collaborative as possible. So,
I see it being, outstanding, but just, make sure you double check it.
Yes, Commissioner Eby.
The one that I want to make sure that I'm not overstepping what we're talking about, the trails specifically only here, because the space on our long-term Germantown plan is a 40-acre site on the west side here that is like the future state of it is open park space is how it's on the plan, is my understanding. And so is this within an okay conversation for this here?
I don't believe it is. I think
Okay.
it's going beyond the boundary of that.
Okay.
That's a plan commission discussion and decision, and they may revert it back to us to determine if we want to change comments in the core plan and thoughts on that. But
Fair enough.
the way it's been identified is what are our thoughts on these public trail plans?
Okay.
Yes.
Line, I agree with what Donna's saying.
You got to turn your mic on.
Oh,
Sorry.
I agree with what Donna's saying, and Brian, the last time this came up, we had a huge discussion on, and you were kind of the, main discusser of if, I didn't realize that it is identified as a potential, what site did you call it, a future park site?
Yeah, on some of the other ones. but-
Okay, because the plan commission would kind of think that we've already discussed that.
Yeah, and we have not, when I look at the agenda item and kind of the direction we were given, I think giving feedback on our thoughts on the public trail connectivity system and the ability of that, some of the questions we've asked, I think are valid, but I think any discussion of the core and changes to the comprehensive plan, I think would be outside the purview of how this agenda item was listed.
But I think you need to state that then, that we did not, approve or review or vote on removing the designation that you state.
And it could
I
certainly be a
think
part of.
we could discuss that, but-
Not tonight.
Okay, that's fine.
Yep.
Then you might want to let him know what that means. Josh, okay,
Yeah.
sounds good, thanks.
Yes.
I think we're too early to take action on this. We've provided feedback, we've asked some questions, but I'm going to try to walk that fine line. What we're seeing as far as the trail is concerned and the overall layout of this, it's my understanding it has not reached a point where it's significantly far enough along that this is final. And that's really why I kind of, I don't mind the idea of the trail system and connecting to the park, but we're early in the process and I just feel like we're going to have to revisit this potentially. And with some of the plans that have been brought up as far as what was expected this land to be, in theory, that depending on what action or inaction is taken on that could adjust the trail system that we're seeing right now. And it would have to come back to us again. So I think my personal take on it is we've provided what the main ask was tonight, but I don't think we're in a position to move with any sort of action forward because I don't even know really what, other than sure, connect to the park. What does that really do for the project in general? We all know how things play out. The trail could change.
Yeah,
I'll leave it at that.
And if I can chime in, I wasn't requesting or expecting any action taken tonight. I thought that this was a presentation to inform parks of what we were proposing and to have you all give me feedback and for this to continue to evolve. So it wasn't my request for you guys to take action this early.
Okay. No, and that's ideal. And once again, as I started off, I think it's a perfect opportunity to have this discussion to give our feedback. So I think,
that's all I was looking for.
Yeah, I think it's been very worthwhile in that regard. If further discussion or questions. All right. So not hearing any motion, approve or deny in any format. I assume, Gil, this will probably be under unfinished business in the future, and staff will give us updates of kind of the progress of this.
Okay.
Until it's ready to come back.
Okay. My only concern is that for some reason, as part of the process, that you guys needed to take action tonight. And I'm not sure about. If for some reason, I can't imagine, I've never, in all the years of doing this, had the first step in the process be parks weighing in on something before it goes to the plan commission. So I don't anticipate that would be the case here, but if it was given to you for an action, that just worries me a little bit.
Yeah.
But I think we just leave it. That's my opinion.
Yeah, no, and I think it's one of those chicken and eggs things.
Yeah.
And it's probably, we were early in the process simply because make us aware, and there may be more questions coming to us regarding, as others have indicated, on the core plan and other things like that.
Yeah. Is there going to be a report that's given to staff based on tonight? Is that something that happens, or is I'm not
minutes?
It'll
just
reflect,
minutes.
it'll reflect in the minutes, just a generality of the things that were covered tonight. What I'd like to see the commission do is, if you wish not to make an action, to just do that you wish to table the conversation for now.
That makes
You take an action that you would like to see where this goes. And then you all vote on that, and then that will give this case, possibly the planning commission, know that yes, it's been addressed. Yes, you have looked at it. Yes, you have decided to make no actions on it, and that it'll most likely have it come back.
Thank you.
But that's your decision.
No. Could I have a motion to that effect to table action on this?
I'll make a motion to table this topic for the future and ask that at appropriate time, that it's brought forward to us for potential discussion and further action.
Motion's been made and
Don,
seconded.
did you second that? Thank you.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any further discussion? Yes.
Yeah, I just want, does Josh know that the plan was, because it's gonna come back, the planning commission has to send it back to us.
Yeah, no, we're well aware that of the designation of this and what we were, and that was one of the very first questions we had in working with staff, that the intention was that this was going to be a place for like soccer fields at some point, and that the village decided on a different location. And so the feedback that we were given was that parks, I don't know if it's a park district, I apologize, but that that there wasn't a desire to create a public park at this location anymore. And so that having us build and pay for this type of amenity to the public on a piece of land that they don't intend to do anything with was encouraged.
No, I do think it would come back. The planning commission have to send it back for our official removal.
I think it's a comp plan amendment that would change this. And I think that is the purview of Plan Commission.
Good, you're up there.
Yeah. No, that's one of the first things we are doing, and we'll either succeed or we will not. So.
All right, any further discussion? All in favor of tabling this action, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Thank you very much. We
Thank you.
appreciate
I
coming.
appreciate it. Thank you
Josh,
so
can
much.
I ask one more thing? Can I have the spelling of your last name?
Absolutely. WOHLREICH.
Thank you.
All right, next item on the agenda, item 6C, 2026 proposed fees and charges report. Discussion and action. Welcome.
Yeah. Good evening.
Hi.
We've never stood up here before for
Yes,
this.
weird.
I think
Anyways,
everyone knows who's speaking, but introduction,
Oh.
just to make sure.
sure. I'm Patty Heinen and I'm one of the rec supervisors for the Park and Rec Department.
And I'm Sandra Doss. I'm the other rec supervisor.
Thank you.
Anyways, we are here tonight to ask for approval for the fall winter fees and charges. Everybody should have, might need glasses.
Yeah.
Sorry, we a little small. But normally we just kind of run through the pages for the fees and charges schedule. And if you have any questions, go ahead and ask us. We have some minor increases for the programs for this fall winter. So lots of them are due to, just general inflation and equipment costs and things like that going up. So, so for instance, like for first and second grade buckets going up a couple dollars or $3. We note that Art Adventure and Slice of Art, our teacher kind of decided to combine classes, and a little later on, we're going to call it mixed media classes instead of these. So kind of freshen those up. So those two aren't technically being offered this season. And then we are offering the holiday gift making class. So once we get down to the mixed media, we kind of made them all 42 instead of 40. So we're kind of doing that. I guess the largest increase that I have proposed is for Bucketeer basketball. It's a $10 increase. So we've been incrementally going up in that program And in order to kind of stay at that percentage that we want to try to hit, like reminder between 20, for sure between 20 and 30%, over, or 120, 30% over, if not a little bit more, so that our department remains self-sustaining, I guess, is kind of where we're at.
Self-funded.
Self-funded. But for that program, I anticipate, we could, it's nice to have smaller teams and more teams. And when you have that, then you have more practice time. So you're paying for the practices at the schools, and then you're adding games on, like an hour extra for the games for that. So to take that all into account, I felt like we had to increase that program a little bit more than normal. And I think it's well within, it's still a great price for people in the community. Dance program, again, up a couple dollars, and we also increased the costume fees. Costumes are a lot of money. So we're trying to slowly increase that, but keep in mind, we tried to get the sale costumes for sure. And just another increase, a little increase in the fundamental camp. We haven't increased that one in probably a couple years. The golf classes, we are charging what we have charged last winter, spring, and summer. So we're just kind of following through with that. Kids choir going up. Gymnastics, we also charge that in summer. Hoopsters class, yeah, going up about $3. And then you want to talk about Kids Club?
Kids Club, unfortunately, is going up 50 cents. So that will be $12 for AM care, $12 for PM care. But if you do both, you get $5 off. So if you do AM and PM, it'll be $19 instead of 18 as it was this year.
Any questions on page 1? Okay, all right.
So for the youth dance, they have to pay $62 also for the
Yes.
costume over and above? Okay.
Yes.
It's good to hear that you're trying to keep the cost down.
Yes. Okay, other increases, just the mini golf league up $1. There is a decrease. We just went down in number of weeks, so we correspondingly decreased the fee. So instead of a 4-week class, we're doing a 3-week class. We tried that in summer and at least went over, and we'll see. That might be one of those classes that we're going to be phasing out after this year. We'll see how it goes. We did open pickleball. We had to cancel already last winter, spring because of declining enrollment. They are going to Pickleball Kingdom and the place in West Bend and all those other places. Parent-child basketball up a couple dollars. That one hasn't increased in a couple of years. POMS, the only two, so we have a program that usually runs 9 weeks, but we're running it 8 weeks this year for the regular POMS classes, and then like Pixie Dust, Pixie Spark, what's the other one called? Dust Spark and Power POMS. We're just asking for a little bit of an increase there, so it's only those 3 programs, not the regular ones, because the regular ones are already decreasing a week, so I didn't want to do anything with those fees. The other 2 classes that won't be running are the Sonoma Breath class that it didn't really go over last year. And then unfortunately, Stay Home Alone is very popular, but my instructor is going through some medical issues, so I won't be able to offer. We haven't offered that since probably last fall. And then tree climbing, we are just making the fee the same as summer. Questions so far on that, and then I'll just run through the new programs. Steve?
I was just curious on the open pickleball, and I totally get it, because I used to go on Wednesdays all the time, and it'd be like, 8 people there, maybe. It really is due to the facility, and if you ever got a chance to discuss with possibly getting into the big gyms at the high school, or a different location. And the only reason it is the facility is, there's so many lines on down, like every out of bounds line is a different color. And they're just everywhere. It's kind of funny, but it's nice, but totally understand why it was canceled.
We have not looked at going into the high school, but I'm guessing that they probably have their own athletics there on a pretty frequent basis, that they wouldn't want to rent it up to us. And then also, I'm sure the cost to rent the high school gymnasium is significantly more than,
Yep.
you know, what we're paying for the Gold Gym. And, you know, we're already charging, what was it, $7?
Yep.
You could go to those state-of-the-art facilities with proper flooring and pickleball courts, like nicer courts. So I just don't think the demand is there anymore for doing it recreationally with us.
I get it. No,
Yeah, we were losing numbers the last couple of years as these new indoor facilities. You know, would you want to play on a regulation
Yep,
pickleball court or
totally get
basketball?
that.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Understood.
Okay. New programs. Well, really not new, but just a little bit spin on it. We do have Learn Magic with Glenn Gerard, but we're doing like a Halloween one to try to amp up his his class and do something a little bit different. We have been doing Pickleball University. They're called Rebel and Smash Squad. It's basically a youth pickleball program at we co-op the class with Menominee Falls at Pickleball Kingdom. So we started that, kind of added it in last minute at winter, spring, and summer. Summer hasn't been going well, but last winter, spring, we had some participants in. So there's that. The mixed media I talked about before, so we're kind of renaming the art classes. So they're going to be exposed to a variety of mixed media, like ink and acrylics and collage and all that kind of good stuff. Functional strength camp is actually through Anytime Fitness. So we're kind of just doing another like September class, basically like a fit in parks class, like we've been doing all, the summer, and they thought it went so great for them this summer that they wanted to do another one in September. So I said, yep, we'll go ahead and do that. Also new is Kids Orchestra. Oh boy, John, I don't know what his last name, Plata, I don't know. He's the music teacher, or one of the music teachers at Rockfield and Amy Bell. This is a class that would be before school, kind of like Kids Choir is, and it's for stringed instruments if they want to learn how to play string instruments. So they do have to rent their instrument. But it runs for a pretty long time. It'll start in October and run through April. So it's a pretty long class. So that's why maybe the fee is a little bit higher than we normally do. So it'll be interesting to see if we get people interested in that. Learn to make sourdough bread is another class. Sourdough is really a hot topic, at least if you on Instagram. And so I have a teacher that owns her own sourdough class, and people will get a starter to take home with them and learn all about that. And that'll be held at the senior center because that has an oven. And with the unknown, it would be great to go at Survival Live, but they might be ripping that down pretty soon. So we're trying to phase out classes there. And then the Nutcracker Ballet and Dance and Craft Workshop. So it'll be, we'll have a class for like parent-child class, so they can come with their child. They're going to learn a little dance, meet two of the Milwaukee ballet dancers, and learn a little dance with them and do a craft. And then the older kids are going to get old point shoe to decorate. So they're bringing those along, and they will again learn a small dance with the ballerinas and do that. So it's gonna be fun. So hopefully people sign up for those two. And then line dancing is it's a program co-op with Menominee Falls. It's actually during the afternoon, so I don't know how many people I would prefer at night, but they had asked if we would be interested in the afternoon. So maybe we'll get some people who can attend to do that class. So we haven't had that in a really, really, really long time. So, yeah.
All right. Any questions, any additional questions? Hearing none. I get a motion.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve the fees and charges as stated.
I'll second it.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
Ayes have it.
So
Sorry,
funny.
can't vote.
Funny.
Thank you.
Yes.
We have to redo the vote, please. Do the vote. Everyone agrees, please say yes.
All in favor, say yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Any,
Opposed?
thank you.
Okay. Is it because you want us to say yes?
Because Gil made a comment and I have to address it on record. Sorry.
All right, moving right along.
No.
Item number 6, we're the
No.
save that comment for another day. Item number 6D, Friends of Old Falls Village Park requesting to bring war reenactments to Fireman's Park and Dinesville Park. Really hard. There you
Okay,
go.
yeah, some of my buttons when I have to push aren't that hard. Thank you, everybody, for letting us come and talk. I'm Jeff Klug. I'm the president of Old Falls Village Incorporated. We've been running different reenactments at Old Falls Village Park, and we're now expanding out. We're running out of room at Old Falls Village Park, so we're looking at other parks in the vicinity here to be able to hold some of our bigger events. As you'll notice, our name is changing to Heritage and History Guild. So if you wonder why I say Old Falls Village, that's the park we've been working in for 3.5 years. We've brought over 6,000 attendees to the park in the last 3 years. Last year alone, we had 6,000 attendees, I should say, and 9,000 people to the park last year. This year, we're halfway there and continuing to grow to a point that we need bigger areas to be able to do this. We're getting more reenactors, more vendors and things. So we're looking to spread out a little bit more. One of the places we've looked at was Fireman's Park because it has a lot of nice trees, a lot of nice amenities, the pavilion, the band shell area. Really would work nice for us for World War II, our main event. The other spot that we have looked at as well is Dinesville. That one is a nice park. The biggest problem we see with that park is there's no trees. And our reenactors are staying there day and night, and being without shade gets to be a little bit more of a problem for them. Although we know that it can be worked out at either park. Each park for us has its good points and bad points. But we wanted to come tonight and basically find out your feelings on us doing a World War II event at the park. There's a lot that goes into the park, and we're just starting to plan out how we're going to do the events for next year. And we've got a number of different locations that we're spreading out to do our different events for the year. This is Nancy, my event coordinator. She's the one that really does most of the work. I take a lot of the credit sometimes, but she does all the work. And she can answer a lot of the questions, and I'm happy to just sort of answer questions as well. We want to just make sure that this is something that the park board would be willing to have us do. And if not, then we'll just be continuing on and looking for other spots. But to be honest, Fireman's Park is a gorgeous park. It would really be a nice place to hold an event. We bring in about 12 to 1,500 people over the weekend. At least that's what we're doing right now at Old Falls Village Park. It's gotten to the point where we ran out of parking space this year, which would be a little bit of a concern at Fireman's Park, of course. But we're working on plans to mitigate some of that. We just love the way the park is laid out and thought it would be a nice place to expand to. I don't know. Nancy, if you've got anything you'd like to say.
Well, if I may, also, when we talked, the weekends that they were looking to do these events don't conflict with anything else going on in the park. So there's no other major events going on. So this, either park, yes.
Hi, I'm Nancy Greifenhagen. I'm the event coordinator for Old Falls Village Park, or Friends of Old Falls Village Park, soon to be our new name, Heritage and History Guild. I started the World War II event about 9 years ago. It has grown a lot over the years. And I just thought I'd talk a little bit of what's involved in something. Now, in your orange folder, you have the flyers that we have for the event. So World War II is a multi-day and multi-event kind of all wrapped up together. As you can see, the first flyer is our main flyer for the event. That includes the Axis and the Allied. So we have both sides that come as reenactors to the park. We have close to maybe 175, and that's probably on the low end of reenactors that'll come and help us put on the event. On Friday morning, we start out with a school day. So we are very much into education. So we connect with the schools and with the homeschoolers as well. And they come out to take a look at our school day, which is each station we set up. A reenactor will have a setup, and then we rotate the children through each station throughout a 3-hour morning, and I think our Revolutionary War event went to 4 hours this year. So then in the evening on Friday nights, we have a fish fry and a beer garden with a band. So that would be our, actually in this case, for the Friday night, it's a USO variety show. So there's a band, a choir, and entertainment. So with the World War II, it's all in an event theme of World War II. So the USO show with the variety show is like the Bob Hope as he goes to entertain the troops. That we work with Oconomowoc Choir and with some bands that work with us and put on a big production for the crowd as well with our beer garden. Then on Saturday and Sunday, we have our events. At Old Falls Village Park, we do have a battle. They're at 2 o'clock each day. It's the highlight of the event for the public, but we have events going on all day. So from morning to evening, you'll have presentations, fashion shows, speakers, bands. Actually, we have the Jazz Crusaders. They play on Sunday. We have always had it on Father's Day weekend, which would be June 18th, 19, or 18, 19, 20 of next year. They all the guys all thought, well, Father's Day is a great weekend to do it because you invite your fathers over. It's a good thing to do with the families, with fathers and such. So that has always been a big draw for that weekend. We do have vehicles that come. So we have military vehicles that'll also come. We have some Jeeps, Kubel wagons, motorcycles with sidecars. These are all World War II authentic vehicles. They're not maybe original from World War II, but they can be built up or be original. And we have half tracks. We don't have full tracks, so no tanks come. They would rip up grass too much, but all tire vehicles that we've had. The event has areas that would have setup of Allied and Access. We also have our vendor areas, and we have our food, beverages, that kind of thing, and then also an area for presentations. I did put in a map of just a possibility of what it would look like at Fireman's Park. I know that there might be some concerns about gunfire and gun safety. All the guns are checked. There's a safety and authenticity to everything that they do. All the guns have either blank adapter or they just don't work at all. They're not real guns. They do walk around with them on them. They all are safety conscious. We have hunter safety. We have the checks in the morning on all the guns. We thought if you were not interested in a battle, we could do a small skirmish or just a weapons demo to see if the public is interested in. And it's, even if we have a battle, it usually lasts 15 minutes and it's over. That they don't play that long out there, because when they die, quote unquote, they are in the sun sometimes and they don't want to be out there too long. So yeah, our battles are maybe about 15 minutes, but a skirmish would be a lot less. So we're willing to work with anything that you are able to, let us know that you think may not work well. We do like the band shell because we do have a lot of bands that will play. Saturday night, we offer a USO show that has a big band come. So it's amazing how many people come and they dance and everybody's dressed up in their 40s and we have a big band music, singers. It's an 18-piece band that comes and they're all dressed in their World War II uniforms of the time. It's a really neat feel. So the band shell would work really nice and it's like the perfect size.
I was thinking of doing the vendors maybe in the open area, and the pavilion would be great for food and presentations. I know you also have a beer garden in the Fireman's Park, so this would be just an extension of, we do a beer garden as well. In the past, we've done admission during the day. So Saturday and Sunday are admission, Friday night and Saturday night are free. Knowing that there is
a lot of land out there, it would be hard for us to fence off an area. And that's what we do at Old Falls, just so that we can get admissions for people coming in. But if we can't, or it's too hard to put fencing around, we have been thinking about how we would do it with free admission. So with free admission, there could be more people coming and more people could enjoy it too. So those are things we're kicking around. I think some of the other ideas that were concerns were, we do have fire pits that we have at our park where you dig up the ground and put the ground off to the side and then put the grass back in. And as long as it's watered and not hot and dry, the grass grows back. But we are also able to work with them and have braziers instead. So they would sit up above the grass. And if you would allow campfires around for each of the camps, that would be great. Let's see some of the, so we're thinking of maybe a small skirmish if that would work out. And as we talked about Dinesville too, that's a wonderful park. I love the pavilion. It's absolutely beautiful. The units are out in the sun and they they bake all day, especially, well, we've had some hot Junes. I can't remember if this June.
Uniforms.
They're wool. So there's a little bit of a harder sell to get them to come if they know that they're out in the sun too. So and they've been spoiled with our trees at Old Falls Village Park. And Fireman's Park is very, very similar with the beautiful trees and the pathways and such. Our hours for the event, so Fridays is usually 9 to noon for the school day. Then we have a little break and then the beer garden starts at 4. Our Saturday event starts at 10 a.m. goes until 5 for admission, but then the evening until 9:30 or so is the dance part, and that's free in the evening, and then Sunday 10 to 4. So those are our typical hours, and then we're packing up and everybody gets to go home. And one of the great things about the World War II event is we draw people from all over the place. We are drawing them from all the Midwest states. We get them from Arizona. We've got them from Texas. So they are coming up from a really far way to come this far. There are not that many World War II events in Wisconsin. We know of one in Pioneer Park in Saukville, but I'm trying to think if there's any others in, there's one way up north that used to be Iola, now it's Anawa. And I think they had one near Privets, I think, somewhere up there. But there is not a lot of World War II events, which is a nice draw for each of the cities, for them to have people, not only from reenactors to come and be part of this event, but people come far to come and see it as well. And they, of course, love the battles too. Some of the people who come with reenactments, they come with a lot of equipment, a lot of camp equipment, tents and such. They do have trailers. So we do have a designated area for them to park for their trailers. So we would need to figure out an area where they could park. And most of our work that most of the admission that we do all this work for, it pays for some of the entertainment that comes, some of the equipment that does come, but we also try to put back into the park. So in this case of Old Falls Village Park, we also put in a path, we've put in upgrades, we've done maintenance in the park, so that we always are thinking of what we can do for the city, what can we do for the park that we're in. So we raise money for our school day so we can have additional kids come and enjoy the school day. We're raising money for, and actually I thought the Park and Rec department has classes. Maybe the Park and Rec classes we could coordinate and have them come to the school day, which would be a nice addition too. Being that it's in June, it's a little harder to get the school kids from the public schools and private schools to come. So that's where we hit more of the homeschoolers that come. We are just hoping that wherever we are able to bring this event to, is that it's always positive for the community. It has a good financial impact for the community, as well as bringing more people in to stay in the hotels too.
And part of what we really believe in is educating the young children about history, along with celebrating the veterans that
Yes.
sacrificed their lives for us to have what we have here. So that's part of the reason we do a lot of these events. I never learned it as well in high school. I've learned more in the last 2 years at the park, working with these reenactors, learning about the history. And I think that's one of the most important parts about this, is that we want to make learning history fun for the kids. And there's nothing nicer to see than a family going around learning history. We have scavenger hunts, so they look for different cards. And at that same time, the reenactor is explaining either a weapon, a tent, piece of equipment, anything. So the kid is learning something about the history, and hopefully they'll remember it a lot more than what you do learning it from a book in a high school. And hopefully my goal is to get this so that we earn enough money to be able to start maybe taking it to the schools during the school season, and having some of our reenactors come with like a trunk that we can go and give demonstrations right in the schoolroom, or in actually even senior centers. I live at a senior center, and I know we're always looking for things to do, and we're going to start bringing some of that to some of those places, because we found seniors are just as interested in history as the young kids are. So that's part of our main goal, and why we want to just keep going with this. And so that's why we're here, to see whether this is something that you feel would work in either one of these parks. And if so, we'll keep working with staff to make it work out.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate the presentation. Once again, I like to start off some of the conversation. I live very close to Old Falls Village Park. you're indicating that doesn't have enough parking? What
We-
you're trying to do, or?
So my goal always is that I'll put a car anywhere. So when the battle came, the last World War II event, I had cars stuck in every little nook and cranny that we could, because we try to put all the cars on that same piece of property. There really isn't any parking offsite. So not only do you have parking for all the 175 cars for the reenactors, but now, and they're all the volunteers, but now you want the public to yet park on there. So we did run out of room.
Yeah.
We-
Do you have a rough idea how many cars, the 175 plus?
This year was probably the worst, I shouldn't say the worst parking pattern, because they couldn't get out. But I would say we can get 115 on the grass parking lot, and you can get about 40 in the asphalt parking lot. And then I would say we could probably get about 100 on the east parking lot too.
Yeah. Okay. And that's, one of the biggest things. There's several things that come up about firemen's. I commend you for what you're doing. I think parking probably is my biggest concern. If you come here for the 4th of July, when I left, cars were a mile away to walk to Fireman's Park down dark roads. So that's probably one of my biggest concerns with firemen's. It certainly seems driving by that you're able to handle a number of cars at that location. It does have some of the amenities. I'm trying to think of other places that have similar capabilities. Is there other areas you've reached out to, changing from Friends of Old Falls Village Park to Heritage History Guild? I'm assuming that means you're looking to expand in southeastern Wisconsin. You're not looking to be just Menominee Falls based.
Right, we're looking to expand outwards. We're trying to stay close around Menominee Falls area so far, because as you expand farther out, it's harder to get the people to follow you that are used to coming to Old Falls Village. But we're putting our nets out in quite a big area. So we've got some possibilities, but we've only been working at this, a month? So it's, this came up on us a little quicker than what we originally thought we were gonna be doing. And so we're trying to do our events while look at other places. And so Germantown is so close that we thought of you first, and then we're gonna just keep working our way outwards.
Will you still be doing any events at Old Falls Village, or is it that
No,
you
we
might
don't
not be
do
doing?
any more
Okay.
events After this year at
Okay.
Old Falls.
Okay. All right. That's all the questions I have for now. Questions from the group?
Yeah,
Yes.
I too was wondering about the parking situation. I think the people, my concern is certainly the number of cars and where they all lie. I mean, the fact is Kennedy Middle School's right there, the parking lot's there. So there's relatively easy access. Good things there. And even along that road that you just see here, there's that extension. The one thing that always drives me nuts is the cars in the grass that extend out. It is what it is to some degree. And I think too, the folks, I used to live on Park Avenue, so I can speak from experience. You get used to 4th of July, you get used to the Saturday morning soccer games and everything else. So you live by a park, it's going to be busy. The thing that always drives me nuts, and it's one of those things where cars that extend over driveways. There'd be times when I couldn't actually leave my driveway because too much of a car was there. So that there's some concerns there, but I think if this moves forward, as long as there's an awareness aspect to those people who live on Park, but also Freistadt, just be like, there's going to be some more heavily trafficked areas here. I think generally speaking, they understand it's a park. Where my big concern is current, with regards to the school district, our current rules or those type of things is guns in schools. and we don't differentiate between modern guns and historically accurate ones. So I love the idea. I think it's a great thing that that happens in the falls. I'd love for something like this to happen. It's just that's my one concern is the location with the guns by the school. I understand it's historical. There's an educational opportunity there. I like the idea of, hey, let's visit some of the schools. There'd be some limitations as far as what you'd be able to bring into the schools.
Right.
So that's just my concern that I can certainly take back to the board and kind of bring up and say, you know, how do we want to address this? It's obviously just certain periods. It's not during the school year. You know, there is technically an educational aspect to this. What kind of accommodations might we have to do? You know, I hate to even go this far. Insurance and all these other things that come into play that in some ways is unfortunate. The other thing, and I hate to bring this up too, is there was that Kennedy Middle School incident as well that we had with law enforcement that is still relatively fresh, certainly within the school district itself. So there's that emotional aspect to it, but I think the educational piece kind of outweighs some of that. So I love the idea. I'd love to have it occur. I agree. I think firemen's is suited with regards to what it all entails. If there's a motion that's out there tonight, I'm kind of torn because of the fact that I think there's some takeaways from the school district perspective, and I think we can work around it in some way, shape, or form, based off of where the map is. Technically, it's not on school grounds. It's just so close. We also had an incident on Freistadt Road where a hunter innocently got out of his car with a weapon. And as you can probably imagine, someone saw, you know, he was going north into the hunting grounds that are north of Freistadt, but wasn't thinking, oh, I'm within a certain amount of space to the school.
Yeah.
There's some member of the public who called the authorities, rightfully so, and they should have. And there's something. So it's I love the idea, but I think it's something. If there's a motion, I'm gonna have to think about which way to go with this to move this forward.
Yeah, you know, the other question I think I would have is camping. Do we even allow camping in our local parks? And the site at Old Falls Village, the site, the other option of a site at Dinesville, a little more remote, little more you can control comings and goings. You understand this, you know,
it has evolved, has a lot of the great amenities, and I wouldn't disagree with it at all, that would lend itself to it. But it seems too much to be in neighborhood. It's turned into almost a community park. It's just, you know, right on the small side of a community park, and it just is activated, even if it's not being used that weekend. It would be tough, I think, with that many residents in that area. So, sorry, I've opened it up to others, comments, questions, thoughts.
Just a quick question.
I'm not sure. You have something on your phone. Anyhow, any other thoughts, discussions? Commissioner Eby?
Yeah, a couple of questions. You said 175 cars for reenactors and volunteers. So that's like, as far as, I mean, that's about 175, 200 people that are coming for the reenactment part. And then like, what's you gave kind of, I thought, overall numbers, like what's the typical attendance for the people coming out for a particular event, like for the World War II event?
World War II is our second biggest event. This year we did about 1,500 people over the 2-day weekend, where we can count from admissions. It's probably close to 1,000 when you figure in Friday night, especially sometimes with the school days. We've been getting more and more kids coming. Of course, our Revolutionary War brought in over 550 kids because that's still during the school year. And with the school being closed by the time we do World War II, we get more homeschoolers than anything else. But we're definitely hitting 700 to 800 people on a Saturday and a little less on Sunday.
Okay.
Yes.
I love what you do. I've attended many of them and I appreciate it very much for your hard work. It looks great. I personally, I hem and haw and either way of having it at Fireman's Park, which is a lovely city park. And I understand the tree situation. Yeah, there's a lot of beautiful trees. And there's limited bathrooms there. That's for sure at Fireman's Park, very limited bathrooms with that kind of number of people.
We would bring in portalets. We have to do that at at Oak Falls Park right now because we don't have enough bathrooms. We only have 2 bathrooms in our public house right now that is very small. It was created, what, in the 70s?
Between 1990 and 95.
1990, okay, I grew up in the Falls, but I can't remember when the buildings were built, but they were very small bathrooms. So we constantly bring in extra portalets and we would bring in portalets there as well. So
Okay.
that we would accommodate that number of people. We would not want to overrun bathrooms, even though you have nice bathrooms there, you're correct. There's no way you could handle 800
Yeah,
people.
it'll be constant people running. I
Right.
do think, just initial thoughts that this would be perfectly set up for like a Dinesville Park situation. Understand the shade situation, maybe you buy, 20, those tents, 10 by 10 tents for the guys or the people to congregate underneath because you don't have the trees. It's not as pretty, I get it. But it does feel like a neat, nice fit for Dinesville in my situation, just feel. Thank you.
Sure. No, and that's sort of why we came here. We want to find out where you would rather see us do this. I mean, granted, we do like Fireman's Park. It's got its advantages, it's got its disadvantages, the same with Dinesville. I know Dinesville, I lived just down the road from it when I lived in Richfield. So, and actually I had a relative that preached at the church there, so a long time ago. So I love that park. It's a nice park and it does have a little more room for parking. I believe we can might make work out and it's just a little farther out of town, which was gonna be our next big thing. But that's why we're planning now for next year so that we can figure out how to make it work and wherever we end up going.
I don't think it's necessarily an option. Have you looked at Homestead Hollow at all? I don't even know how that would work with the county in terms of.
I haven't, I've been wanting to get in there.
Okay.
And I just haven't had the time to drive into Homestead Hollow.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I know Waukesha County Parks told us they don't allow guns. And so that ruled out a lot of our county parks here
Mhm.
in Waukesha County. I'm not sure, I've got to check into Washington County to see what they would allow as well, but that would be one that we should check into.
Yeah, I think it would be worthwhile. I think there's a lot of complexities to it, but I think you're gonna see that in a lot of areas.
Yeah.
Other thoughts, questions, comments? Mr. Eby.
Sure. I was just trying to do a little Googling to understand size and things like that because, do you know how many acres the old Village Park area is that you guys were currently using? Do you know how big that park is?
It's 18 acres.
18 acres. That's okay. That's the same number I sort of came up with here, but it doesn't look to me like Fireman's Park is necessarily any larger than that.
No.
So, I'm just, you know, trying to understand the concerns for space that you're looking for. It might be certainly usable in different ways, but you know, to make sure that you guys are coming in and solving the problem you're really looking to solve. I think Dinesville Park is certainly very flexible because it's a very open space and there's not much going on there, and so it's very good for doing all kinds of flexible things for it. But I believe it's even smaller. So I'm just, you know,
Trying to think.
I looked up, it said it was 9 acres for Dinesville Park. This is a very quick Google search. I'm not saying that this information is remotely accurate, but certainly things that we want to think about here as well. So.
Oh, thank you.
Would there be roadblocks with guns in the village of Germantown in the parks? That'd be the other question. I don't know what exactly.
Well, we definitely want to coordinate with the police department on that. I know the American Legion has had like 21 gun salutes in the past, and the police have allowed that. So, yeah, there would have to be, we'd have to look into the legality of doing that. Yeah.
Pretty accurate, 9.5 acres, Dinesville. So went through some of my documents. Yes.
Kind of sounds like this is something that we need more information on. I'm wondering if we table it for tonight. If we need to check with the school district, we need to check with the police department. If we need to check with any other organizations or components or legality of, it sounds like the main issue would be guns. So I don't know that we would be able to give a direction as a group here tonight. I think we need more information from other organizations that would be affected.
Sure.
So maybe we need to table it for now with the potential that it could come back.
Sure. We really just wanted to come and find out if you were at all amenable for us to do it, and then we would start going into the full in-depth of police department. We would want to talk to the school just because they've got parking lots that if we can use them, we'd like to get permission from them. There's a lot of other steps that we need to go through. We really just wanted to come here to see, is this something we should continue to pursue? Or if you think it's not something we should be doing, we'll move on to some other location. We're happy either way. We like Germantown. We know a lot of people from Germantown come over and see us at Old Falls Village, and this was the first place we thought of.
Mhm. Yeah, and if you're not looking for official action and more feedback, we certainly could table it. The things I'm hearing in the Fireman's Park is, more clarification on thoughts from the school district. On both sites, it would be following up with police and firing of any type of firearms in the village. One question I had is sleeping in parks. Is that allowed? Is there ordinances? And then what would the fee be if it's not, just a pavilion being used? And this, is it your typical fee, or is it kind of they're taking over the entire park? My personal opinion, I think Fireman's just has too many hurdles. I wouldn't disagree with Commissioner Eby on the size of Dinesville, but I think that one, I would like to see continued pursued. If you add an adjacent property owner, that some type of special use permit to allow parking and things like that you could work out. It seems like a location that might be better. Just my initial thoughts.
Okay, sure.
And then there's the one guy, Mr. Dix, that, Jan mentioned, that you talked to about that. He the Historical Society kind of runs that park.
Right.
And he's kind of the guy that, he sounds like he's really open to it.
Good to know.
We were gonna end up talking to the Historical Society there. We just thought this was the first place to start to
Yeah.
make sure that we weren't chasing down a rabbit trail that wasn't gonna work out.
Other thoughts on firemen's? Commissioner Eby?
Yeah, I guess I would say, I would agree with the conversation that we're having a bit here, that firemen's just may not be the right place for it in our park. There's a lot of hurdles, it sounds like, but with the additional amenities that are just in the park versus, compared to, I guess, sort of the amenities that are happening in Old Falls, Village that you're currently using, that does seem to match up a little bit more to a lesser used area up at Dinesville. So I guess I would lean towards saying, exploring the Dinesville area, in my opinion, would be something that could be on the table, but I'm not as excited about Fireman's Park as the place.
I think you should continue to research it, see what could be done. I also would be in favor of Dinesville. Just from my driving by, I think Dinesville could afford to have a lot more activity in it.
Sure.
I think Dinesville is a great park that's not used nearly what it could be. It's got that great pavilion, a lot of nice land and scenery around. So I would be in favor of your continuing to ask questions about the possibility of having it here. I think it would be worth your time to follow those other questions and get answers and stuff.
Okay.
Any additional discussion?
I agree. I think we keep pursuing this. We can gather the information that can take this back to the district and see what potential roadblocks, or at least bumps in the road, let's call it that, might be, because ultimately, I think this is a great opportunity to get Germantown people to stay in Germantown and try to bring up some of the Menominee Falls people rather than Germantown people going to Menominee Falls. That's just me though, but this is one of those opportunities that we've heard from the village, like, hey, we want to bring people into Germantown. We want to keep that door open in this case. And so I'll be more than happy to take this back to the district and see what it may be, if there needs to be action at the board level, or those type of things, and work with everybody. I'm on the Buildings and Grounds Committee, so that, you have not only to the board, but also to the committee that kind of would oversee some of this as well.
Yeah, that's all we ask is we'll keep working at it and doing some more of our research. And if you let us know whatever else you need from us, we'll pursue it.
I would certainly say stay in touch with
Yeah.
Gil in that regard, and I think Gil, you can follow up on the police and kind of policies on sleeping in the park and other things like that. That would be great. Can I get a motion to table this conversation? If there's nothing further.
I'll make a motion to table this conversation.
Second.
I'm sorry, who's second? Tracy, thank you.
Motion's been made and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Well, thank you for coming this evening. Appreciate your
Thanks
input.
for listening to us.
Absolutely.
Nancy, can I get the spelling of your last name, please?
G-R-E-I.
I'm sorry, repeat.
G-R-I, as in Frank, E-N-H-A-G-E-N.
Thank you, Nancy.
Sure.
All right, thank you. Item number 7, village board report.
The Village Board has been involved in taking action on a number of financial concerns. For example, adding people's names to signing lists and things for bank accounts. So there have been a number of financial type agenda items. The Village Board also took action on a zoning item. In the Meeker Hill area, there was a request for change of zoning, and so we took action on that. We also were involved in a discussion on countywide EMS services. There was no action taken on it, but we were involved in discussion on that. So those are a number of the things that the village board has been involved in the last month.
It's my understanding we have a new village administrator.
We do, Matt Trebotowski.
Okay.
We also have a new finance person, Lisa, I forget her last name, but.
Davis.
Davis.
So.
Okay.
Right.
Any questions?
Matt came from within, right?
No, Matt came from Oak Creek.
Oh, okay.
Matt's been involved in village staff positions at different levels, Oconomowoc, Oak Creek, a few other municipalities. He was DPW director in one place. He was finance director in another place. So he's had experience in a number of different aspects of staff.
Thank you. Item number 8, school board report.
Yes, so a couple of items to mention. One is we are trying to pull together some building tours for the public so that they can walk through. It really benefits the school board itself, and specifically the Buildings and Grounds Committee. So it gives us the opportunity to go through and take a look at the interior of the schools and some of the obvious places that aren't necessarily open always to the public and to the kids. So once that's published, I would encourage everyone to take advantage of the situation, get to walk through some of the buildings, see some of the cool things that happen behind the scenes that people don't necessarily think about, but obviously helps make the buildings what they do, keeping them warm, keeping them cool. Yeah, I always mention kind of tongue in cheek, being able to see the dungeon down at Kennedy Middle School. No one ever realizes that it exists, but when you go down there and you see the old locker rooms and the old, that sort of thing, it's like, never would have thought this was down here. So that's coming up. We're hoping to have all those scheduled within the next couple of weeks. Also, PAC. So if you visit gsdwi.org/PAC, you'll be able to find all of the different 26, 27 shows that are being put together. So obviously this includes different musicals and shows that the students put on. So Lion King Jr., those are for the littler kids. That's always a lot of fun. There's You Can't Take It With You. There's High School Musical. There's Newsies that are going to come out. We also have some bands coming in, the Blues Brothers, Bad Medicine, which is a Bon Jovi cover group, and we have a comedian next spring coming in. Timing of this meeting is almost perfect because tickets go on sale for all of those shows August 1st at gsdwi.org/PAC. And hopefully I don't get into some trouble, but we're really trying to work hard on a special musical performance at the PAC right around July 4th of next year. I'll just kind of tease it as that. It's been in the works for a long time, and hopefully we can get them in, but it ties directly into the 4th of July celebrations and stuff. So I'll let people take that teaser and imagine what that could be, but I think that's all for now. Obviously, it's slow season for us at the district with, I say slow season. All our buildings and grounds people are working really hard cleaning and doing all of the updates and fixes and all that kind of stuff. But from a board perspective, it's a little bit slow right now. So
What's that website again?
gsdwi.org. Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, moving right along. Item 9, director's report. Standridge.
All right, basically, I just want to talk about the 4th of July that we had. It marked our 250th year celebration. I have to say, even with the rain that interrupted us for a couple of hours and all the 4th of Julys I've been involved with, that was probably the most attended 4th of July. Starting with that morning, people normally line up the streets for the parade, but right after the parade, which ended around noon, people started coming into the park. And I think we were prepared for them. We had several food vendors that were open up and prepared. And we also had several events that were planned out throughout the day. Had a big kickball tournament that drew a lot of people to watch. We had other events going on during the day that people could attend. For the first time ever, I had 10 vendors from the farmers market that showed up, and people did visit them and they all did well. Right before the rain, we had a large foam party and giant bubble party, and the kids just loved it. We did that in front of the fire station. During the rain showers, yes, our crowds dwindled. But most of the kids that stayed, they went underneath the outdoor shelter, and we had face painters, tattoo artists, and balloon artists, and that kept them entertained all during the rain time. The afternoon weather turned out beautiful and gorgeous. Our crowd started coming back. They came back and we had Bootjack Road. They're a popular local band. They played and drew a huge crowd. And then the evening fireworks, I thought in the comments I got were as spectacular as they have been for years. And like I said, it was definitely one of the most well-attended activities in recent history. Also, a big shout out goes to a lot of our some of our trustees and president and several celebrities were dunked in the dunk tank, and they raised money for the Friends of the Germantown K9. And I understand they had a good turnout for that. Trustee Miller and Tom Barney from the school, they co-chaired this event and did a great job. I also want to thank my own department for helping with planning the event. Public Works, amazing, helping to get set up and cleaning the park afterwards, which was definitely a tough job. Wasn't enough volunteers to keep the park clean, so DPW had to do a lot with the aftermath. Police and fire, obviously a big thank you, shout out to them for making sure the event was safe, and they handled traffic with no incidents this year. Let me tell you, trying to get out of the park after the fireworks was a job, but seemed to me, I stayed afterwards, kept the lighting going, I had some roundup, but within 30 minutes, by the time the end of the fireworks, and I looked out and pretty much all the traffic was already home or headed out. So that was special thanks to the police. With y'all's support, you've voted or let the board know that we wanted to try to keep Parks and Rec staff down to a minimal on the 4th. My staff had the day off. Of course, I didn't, but that's all right. You know, so, I enjoyed working, came in on Friday for the setup, and Saturday was a 15-hour day. But actually, I enjoyed it. I got soaking wet. I had to go home and change clothes, but the showers were actually a nice change to get cooled off a little bit.
I did witness him flying around, and yes, I saw he had to change his shirt because he was everywhere all at once. So thank you for that.
You know, so all in all, it was a terrific event. Always still need more volunteers and groups to get involved. But like I said, we had sack races, we had cornhole competition. The kickball tournament was new this year. So we added several new events to it. Of course, we still had our bouncy houses and then all the balloon artists, face painters and so forth. And then the bubble party was also a new event this year. American Legion was involved. They sold hot dogs, brats, several other items, fries and other items, and beer and soda. And then the other vendors, we tried to make sure that they didn't sell the same items. So we had Mexican food and German food and barbecue. So it was, no one went away hungry, for sure. Taste of Germantown, we just had that last Thursday night. We work in conjunction with the Kiwanis Club. Again, I have to say that was probably the most well-attended Taste of Germantown in the 5 years I've been here. It was definitely, the crowd was packed, but I'm telling you, one thing that helped was, like you're looking out there now, it was the most gorgeous night of the entire summer. It wasn't humid, a little bit of a cool breeze, and people just packed the park. The Kids Club, we sold tickets. Linda didn't, she's a salesperson, you got to see her go at it. We sold about $5,000 worth of tickets, which was up 11% more than we made last year. So all in all, the Taste of Germantown was a huge event and a very successful event. I just wanted to give you a little background on the Old Falls Village Park, which they gave their presentation. As for the recreation, you can follow the programs that we have coming up. We just wanted to announce, we will be receiving our fall and winter magazine that we put out. So that'll be coming out soon, and we send that to schools and all over the village. And then we will start online registration for the fall and winter. In August, we do have one more movie in the park featuring Lilo and Stitch. So if you have kids or grandkids, be sure and bring them. The movies start when it gets dark. We also have 2 more concerts at the Music at the Pavilion. Unfortunately, July 2nd, the Boy Band Review was canceled because heavy showers and lightning. So we did cancel that for safety reasons. We tried to get them back. It was just on a date and their schedule to be able to bring them back, but they've committed to coming back next year. So that's a good thing. We also had to cancel our 5-Card Studs concert on July 16th. And that was because when we were going through that poor air quality control and everyone was canceling any outdoor events. So we didn't feel safe doing that for the public. But we still have 2 remaining bands, which include the Britons on August 6th and Cherry Pie. We end our season on August 20th. So we recently held a kids triathlon at the Germantown High School. Thank you to the high school for helping us host that. And we had 74 kids signed up, and that was great. The kids love that. So we've had, so far up till now, we've had a very successful summer, a productive, and also a good one for making money too, which is always a good thing.
Great. Any questions? Once again, hats off to you and your staff and Linda for increasing sales by 11%. Now we know that we're getting more kids in our programs. So next item, announcement of public interest. When will the next Park and Rec Commission meeting take place? That is the item on there.
On the calendar, it looks like August 19th, which is a Wednesday. But again, that depends on what we have on the agenda. Of course, you have it in your calendars that I gave you at the beginning of the 26th year. Of course, you will all be informed if something does change. But right now, that's what we're looking at is August 19th.
I'm not sure yet, but we may have additional conversations on the showing off in park, and we may again have additional conversations with the war reenactment too. But really think that would be a good thing for Germantown if we could bring that here.
All right, we will be kept posted. Right now it's scheduled for August 19th, 2026 at 5:30 p.m., but we will be made informed if that changes at all. Item number 11, adjournment. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion to adjourn.
And all in favor?
Aye.
I'm sorry, who's second? Is that Jim or Steve?
Wow, dude. Who's Chip?
Jim.
Right.
Thank you.
So we're adjourned at 8:05 p.m. Thank you, everyone. Thanks for making the accommodations for this evening.
I think that makes up for the lack of meetings we've had. We got them all in one night, right?
8 o'clock. Like, come on, go home and go to bed.
Sure.
No.
No.
Yeah.
Oh, you know. There ought to be some, I can get you guys help or, clerks, the way, please go down in the chair. Then, okay, I'll put it in. Wednesday, come up. Straight over, yes, sir.
Both sides or one side? Just this?
Just start.
So I make sure.
Chairs. Yes, never all